Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here on Sunrise. I'm Intisar Faulkner. Starting off with breaking news from overnight. After 3 days of debate, lawmakers in the South Carolina House have passed a bill to redraw the state's congressional map. It's now a step closer to becoming reality with less than a week until early voting begins. Under the bill, the filing period for U.S. House seats would run June 1st through 5th. Those primaries would fall on August 18th, and a runoff would be on September 1st if necessary. Now, it's important to note these delays would only affect primaries for the U.S. House. All other elections in the state would still host their primaries on June 9th. The National Republican Redistricting Trust drew this map to flip the state's congressional delegation from a 6-1 Republican advantage to an all-Republican sweep. For weeks, Democrats have argued this map kills the black vote. They say it ignores what's best for South Carolinians and only benefits President Trump and Republicans. But members of the GOP have said it's needed to help out the president and Republicans in midterms. The Senate Judiciary Committee has scheduled its first redistricting hearing. That's set for 2 o'clock this afternoon. The committee will accept public testimony at that hearing. Of course, we'll bring the latest both on air and online. Meanwhile, the ACLU of South Carolina and League of Women Voters of South Carolina filing a complaint in Richland County Court against the SC House Rules Committee. The group claims the committee violated the SC Freedom of Information Act's requirement to give 24-hour public notification. This is after passing a time limits resolution preventing how many amendments could be introduced on the House floor. Again, the effort prevented lawmakers from discussing the state's congressional map on Monday night. According to public records, the filing is scheduled to be discussed at 9 o'clock this morning. Again, that Senate Judiciary Committee meeting is scheduled for 2 o'clock this afternoon. The committee will be accepting public testimony at that hearing. You can stay on top of the redistricting debate. We have all the details you need to know at WISTV.com. You can also follow along for that hearing this morning and later this afternoon with our WIS News 10 app. Just scan the QR code there on your screen to download it this morning for free.